Back in March 2019, during my sophomore year of high school, I overheard my friends talking about a free game of the week while we were leaving our gym class. I vividly remember their frustration at the game being something they considered boring, but my face lit up when I heard that a game I wanted was for free just a couple days more. And I feel like I was lucky to have gotten Slime Rancher during that time, not just because it was free, but also because I got it just 2 months before its final major update, thus giving me a full experience as the months passed, and this became my obsession for a while. Sometimes I feel like I owe a lot to Slime Rancher because it's one of those games that was around during a very strange time in my life in high school, and that carried further into the start of my senior year of high school in September 2020, during the pandemic. The videos I made on the games made me realize how nice it is to have people willing to listen to you because they love the game just as much as you are and are just as hyped for the sequel as you are. Heck, even Loyal Rancher saw the video that I made, and that honestly made me and my friends really hyped. But when it comes to the second entry, my feelings are a little bit different, but that's my own fault. On September 22nd, 2022, Monomi Park released an early access version of Slime Rancher 2. I'd never bought an early access version of a game before, so I treated it the same as I would a full release game. That same weekend, I got all the slimes, I got all the capsules, and I experienced my PC almost exploding because of an old chicken reproduction oversight, like they just would not stop breeding. But after I got everything the Rainbow Isles had to offer, I just dropped the game altogether. It just didn't click with me the same way as the original one did. But again, that issue is my fault because I didn't treat this game like an early release. I went in with the expectation it was just going to be Slime Rancher but better. I know it's dumb, but I understand now that the development is much harder and longer than I could ever imagine. And the early release was just a way so that the fans can help support the new project as it continued its development. And I did come back a couple times for some of the major updates to the early release, just, adding things like new foods, new resources, new gadgets, new decorations, and even more. In February 2023, we got 0.2, Song of the Sabers, adding a new area to the map. Saber slimes were added, which was the first time we got them in the game, because in the first game they were just extinct, so I thought this was pretty cool. And we also got a new flat slime, I call them flat slimes, but it's called a yolk slime, and I pretty much just remember when the update first dropped, they were incredibly rare to find, and my artist just randomly got one out of the blue and wouldn't stop bragging about it too. Later in November, 0.3 dropped, Come Rain or Slime, adding weather effects and storms throughout the map, also bringing with them the dervish slimes and tangle slimes. Are they pronounced dervish? Are they always pronounced dervish? 2024 saw the release of 0.4, 0.5, and 0.6. The main thing about 0.4 and 0.5 was adding gadgets and decorations, which at first sounds pretty cool, but my playstyle is geared more towards maximum efficiency and money whenever I play games like this, so I kinda just skipped out on this game since they killed the drone bee at a Waffle House parking lot. 0.6, however, saw the release of probably the biggest update the game's ever received. Into the Labyrinth. Looking at the map, it's obvious the devs only gave us a small taste of what's to come, judging from the map layout. But sadly, by the time this update came out, I had lost my day one save file, which pretty much had all the stuff I collected over the course of launch and a couple of the updates, so my current save file is a bit ill-equipped for September 23rd, 2025, where we will finally be getting our full release of Slime Rancher 2, version 1.0. It promises more of the map, more of the Grey Labyrinth, new gadgets, upgrades, and my favorite is that the drone survived getting attacked at the Waffle House, and now going to be upgraded with a quantum twist. That's what it says in the notes. I am genuinely excited, so for a bit of a different video, I will be showing you all my blind reaction to this new update. Hopefully, between me writing this script and actually recording the video, I'll collect most, if not all, of the upgrades before the update drops. Also, this video should hopefully come out around the time of my birthday, so happy birthday to me. Also, if it isn't obvious already, this little first impressions review is going to be filled with some spoilers. First of all, somewhere between writing the introduction of this video and the game releasing, we got another little teaser for the game with this promotional art showing Beatrix showing Beatrix with what I assumed were lightning slimes, but upon the game's release, we learned that they're called hyper slimes, just a new slime added to this update. I actually couldn't find the slimes on day one of the update. I actually found out the name after unlocking the recipe for the Shadow Super Shot upgrade, which is honestly really useful, and I wish we got it like an update ago. Oh, they're called hyperplorts. That's what the new ones are called. Where do I get a hyperplort? It's really useful. It can help us get through the Gray Labyrinth a lot quicker when you have to like shoot the shadow plorts into like those little sun doors. But anyways, I'm getting away from the topic. And anyways, speaking of the Gray Labyrinth, this is kind of the highlight of this update, as we'll finally get to explore the massive chunk of unfinished land. And it was honestly really cool to see the way that the central area just opened up from the clouds parting and then like the land rising from underneath. I liked it. Oh wait, is this is this a new area? I need to figure out how to like get to here and unlock that door. Oh, it's over there. Oh, wait. Oh, this is actually really cool. It reveals like this incredibly long winding path up to the giant orb in the back called the Prismacore, and the whole path is just this beautiful chaotic mesh of all the previous areas in the Rainbow Isles. Once inside the Prismacore, and again, big spoilers here, we meet another hologram of Gigi, but we originally went in with the assumption that we'd be meeting her for the first time here. But it turns out she's kind of trapped inside trying to stabilize this whole thing, and she needs Beatrix's help to get out. We also learn that she's also a time traveler and granddaughter to Hobson and Thora, who for some reason I kept calling Hobson Ogden. I don't know why I have a bad habit of doing that. Sometime between Hobson selling his ranch and Beatrix getting to the end of the Glass Desert in Slime Rancher 1, Gigi used the teleporter to go back in time in order to stop the Prismacore from corrupting the entire planet, so she's trying everything to hold it back. She's basically Dwayne Johnson in the 0 Point in Fortnite. That's not even a joke. It's pretty much the same plot. Both of them kind of trap themselves inside of an orb to stop corruption across their entire planet. It's funny. But anyways, Gigi needs our help. She wants us to make these stabilizers that'll open up like these doorways that could lead us to secret areas, and she needs us to find these specific things called the harmonizers that once we ring them, they'll be able to help like harmonize the actual like Prismacore. I didn't fully understand day one because I was just kind of like lost in my own world, just trying to explore and find everything, and I didn't end up doing this stuff until day 2. But instead, I spent the rest of my time after my day 1 stream trying to find out how to get the hyper slimes. When you make your way out of the Prismacore, there is like this doorway in the distance, but there's like no working water to like blast you up, so you have to try to find a way around. I ended up finding the way by going back to like the middle of the map and doing like a little light puzzle, and then these pillars rised up and then the doorway opened, and it led to a place where I feel like it's my new favorite part of the game. It is what I like to call the museum. It's kind of like the opposite of the whole corrupted mesh, where instead this is obviously a man-made mesh. It is like a multi-biome preservation area, and this is, like I said, this is probably my favorite part of the whole game. I also managed to get more sunsap here than any of the times I've visited the Powderfall Bluffs. I didn't make my way fully into this place until day 2 of the game being out, and there's still a few more areas I needed to find, but this is where you can locate the hyper slimes. And yeah, technically they are still electric slimes, but they're way worse than I imagined they would be. I knew they would be hard to like take care of. So basically what they do when you have them on your like range is they will jump up in the air and then pause mid-air to just charge up and then launch themselves in any direction, and they have broken through my air nets a lot of the time. But still, it's gonna take me a little while to figure out a better way to take care of them. But anyways, that little ramble's probably not what you're here for. You want to know how I feel about this update. It's kind of in line with what I said earlier about this being like the first game I've ever bought early access. It is great. I highly recommend it. It's fun. This is like a great jumping in point. But since I have been drip fed most of the content in this game from beta to 0 to like 1.0, like it doesn't feel like a lot, even though there is a lot. But this just feels more like a me thing. Maybe other day 1 beta players feel the same way as me. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it or I didn't like it. It just kind of feels like just another update, you know? Well, I can't say that anymore, because I felt like that until I continued Gigi's tasks of creating and like the little things to open the doorways and finding the harmonizers to calm down the Prismacore. They're all hidden behind a bunch of unstable walls. But finding all 5 of them leads to a honestly surprising tar slime boss fight, which, if this little surprise boss fight here kind of like woke me up for a second, like, oh, okay, oh, the devs are doing something a little bit more different here, we have to stop the tars from spreading while Gigi tries to make them all the harmonizers wavelengths sync up with the Prismacore and all that. I don't know. It was a really fun, surprising boss fight, and I hope in the future, for either future updates or like the next Slime Rancher game, we have fun little slime bosses like this. This was actually very. I don't know. It was like this felt like the only new thing that was updated, if that makes sense. Because every other update in the past has always been like new area, new material, new slime. But it never changed up the mechanics or introduced anything like new or different, I don't know if I'm making sense with that. But anyways, after you defeat the tar barrier and stabilize the Prismacore, Gigi can finally leave. And similar to Slime Rancher 1, the game ends on a bittersweet note, with Gigi succeeding in saving the future, but at the cost of not being able to return home for her to her mother. But unlike Slime Rancher 1, I feel like this ending was felt a lot better, because yes, it is still bittersweet, but the ending doesn't make you feel bad for Gigi. We see her visiting Thora and Hobson and meeting her mother while time travel, so she meets her mother as a newborn. And I don't know, there's this air of hope for the future, hope Gigi will make her way back home, and if she doesn't make her way back home, she's going to move on and still live life. I don't know. There's something different. It was just something different about this than the whole story about regret and choice that Slime Rancher 1 had. And I liked how there were some dialogue choices where when you're playing as Beatrix talking to Gigi, it's like you're throwing back all the advice Hobson gave you back to her, which I liked that. It's kind of in the similar vein to what I'm talking about here. But anyways, now she sets off on her own journey, and it feels like a setup for a future update, or maybe Slime Rancher 3 revolving around Gigi. I like the fact that I feel like this game is trying to move on a little bit from Beatrix and focus on a different character a little bit, because that's one thing I found really strange about Slime Rancher 2 at first, because Slime Rancher 1 was about you coming to terms with the choice of leaving your lover to pursue your passion, and you're getting these notes from someone who was in a similar boat to you. And meanwhile, Slime Rancher 2 was this whole thing about what is who is this person leaving all these messages here? What is this whole mystery about stuff messing up the island and whatnot? I don't know. I feel like Slime Rancher 2 is a setup game for more things with characters, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It feels weird that Beatrix isn't at the forefront, seeing that she's the main character. I feel like I'm rambling now. Sorry. I want to know more about Gigi now, because she's the one who seems to be going through it now, I want to know how this character is going to fully move on from this stuff. I want to know more about her. I want to know more about her story and see where it goes from here. Heck, I said, I want a multiplayer Slime Rancher game where we have our 2 protagonists already. Please, Monami Park, please. Me and my artist just want to decorate a little ranch together. Alright, there's one really important thing I need to talk about before ending the video. This is something that probably the 2 million people, I think it was more than 2 million, but the millions of people who bought Slime Rancher and played it, the one thing that they missed that was lacking from this game, that we waited way too long for this. There was no reason to not have it, but I'll get into that. So anyways, In Slime Rancher 1, you can unlock this drone by just unlocking the lab section of your ranch. You just place them down in any gadget spot around the map, and if you need to recharge it, you just spray it with water. And, you could pretty much just automate your ranch and have, like, one drone in charge of collecting all the plorts and another drone in charge of all the food supply. Meanwhile, Slime Rancher 2, the way I unlocked the first drone, I had to talk to Gigi, and then a bunch of ghost drones started to spawn around the map. When you interact with them, you get a drone module and a recipe to craft a drone. It's pretty costly, yeah, but that's not what most people would deem as an issue. Also, my friend Artsy said that she ended up finding a drone even before meeting Gigi, so I have no idea what causes them to appear. But anyways, I think they're the most useful thing in the game, and honestly, I feel like Slime Rancher 2 had a much better upgrade for the drones, because, oh my gosh, now they take plorts as fuel, and you can overcharge them so they can automatically run for longer periods of time. Depending on the plort, will, like, be, like, a different percentage of charged. I think bat slimes are probably one of the best. I think they charge, like, 11% for each plort. But anyways, when they collect something, they send it to a place called the Quantum Storage that you can access from any other drone bee around the map. You could actually collect, and I've actually collected hundreds of materials just by, like, sitting around and doing something else. Currently, I'm saving up for my 4th one. And with the drone bees, you can decide whether or not you want to send it automatically to the refinery, or if you want the drone to spit it out so you can, like, pick it up yourself and, like, do whatever you need to do with it, and it can collect different things like chickens and plorts and whatnot, and just it's so useful. And depending on what spot you put it on, it'll pick up the resources based off, like, what usually spawns in that area. But anyways, I feel like I'm kind of rambling. Yeah, those were kind of my thoughts, my first impressions of the 1.0 release as a day 1 early access player who's just only played the update for the past, like, 3 days since it's dropped. I'm trying to get this video out by my birthday. I don't think I'm going to be able to, but yeah. Final thing, get the game. It's worth it. It's a 9 out of 10. It would be a 10 out of 10 if you gave us more ranch spots, because I don't have enough anymore.